It's a real liquid chat.
It's questions and then questions. Just because we can draw does not mean that we can talk. You're listening to the Caffeine Fueled Creative Podcast. It's me, Chopsy, and welcome back to the Caffeine Fueled Creative Podcast. This episode, Sam and I sat down with the Spooky Dinosaur to talk about his artwork, history, mythology, and we learned a lot about human dialect. So without further ado, here's the interview. Welcome back to the Caffeine Fueled Creative Podcast. It's me, Chopsy, and I'm here with
Sam Fortner. Ow!
And today we are speaking with the Spooky Dinosaur.
Good evening. It is I, the Spooky Dinosaur.
All right. Well,
We're happy to have you on today.
Yeah.
We've been hounding you for a little while.
Yeah, and then I hide. I don't come out of my, artist hole until you guys finally cornered me and got me here.
That was it, too. We had to corner you in person so that you couldn't say no.
I mean, you definitely got to it faster than Hope did, so.
Well, I don't know how long wasn't Hope already been interviewed?
She has been interviewed, but I was also harassing her for quite a while, and she kept blowing me off, saying yes, and then blowing me off until Sam was like, "This is when we're doing it. Can you show up?" And she was like, "Yes."
Oh, I have a little bit of an aggressive style. All it is just I pick a time and a date, and I'm like, does this work for you? And if it doesn't, we can change it. But that seems to actually get people in.
Well, I'm happy to be here, you guys.
Yeah. All right, so why don't you introduce yourself to the listeners in your own way?
I am the Spooky Dinosaur. I'm a traditional watercolor artist that likes to focus on monsters, dinosaurs, spooky stuff, and just things that have been an interest of mine since starting my artist career and before. So I like to make watercolor pieces, stuff that is interesting, the different of like dinosaur things, the way that they were created. I originally wanted to be a paleontologist growing up until all the work towards it. I was just like, I think I just like to draw dinosaurs.
I figure you would be a perfect, any type of historian. You always seem to have very good historic knowledge that I always appreciate.
Well, now I've started incorporating the love of dinosaurs into when I go to shows and I meet with people to get a introduction and just get people talking. Because I'll start asking people what their favorite dinosaurs are. And then once they give me that, they'll say something like, "Oh, my favorite is the T-Rex." I go, "Did you realize," or like, they're doing the study on T-Rexes about what their arms were probably used for. I was like, it's always been the idea of like, what were their arms for? And there was one scientist that was like, well, not what were they for, but what were they used, like, what were they good for rather than what were they used for? And it probably was good that they had short arms, so that way if T-Rexes ate in a big group, like a pride of lions, that they wouldn't chomp into each other, like putting their big faces, their big heads into a carcass and chomping into another T-Rex's arm that had it in the way. And it was possible that their arms were so little so that way they didn't like bite off another one's arm and kill them by like eviscerating them by causing this massive damage to them with their big teeth and their big mouths. So it was possible that they evolved to have small arms so that way they could live together without killing each other. And it was like a more recent thing that I was looking into and that I now tell.
It was Darwinism. The ones with the little arms got in, they didn't get bit, and they ended up procreating.
Right. And so then the people who like T-Rexes are like, "Oh, I didn't realize that." So then they get a little bit of knowledge about dinosaurs while I'm also talking to them about it, and then get them involved in chatting about artwork from there, because the artwork that I've got like a little cute T-Rex that I've had that I've made years ago that people just enjoy. It's got a really stupid face. Its eyeball sits below where its mouth is. And I say stupid in an endearing way that people enjoy because it is such a silly design that it is enjoyed by people of all ages. I've had little kids come in and say how derpy it looks, how silly they are, and then they're still and like some of the most enjoyable pieces that people will find that I've done.
And Krampus too. You educated me a lot on the Krampus
Right, like I
mythos.
don't ever say Krampus because that's wrong. Shouldn't be sounding like you shouldn't say his name as if you're having difficulty urinating. Like I got a Krampus. Ow. Krampus or Krampus, but Krampus is more of a German dialect, and then Krampus.
How do you feel about people saying boy Z versus boy C?
It's like honestly, that one doesn't bother me as much. But names are really important to me, as we've discussed with my actual name that isn't being brought up. Is that my name's been shortened in the past, and I don't like it when people shorten names, especially when someone does it in a disrespectful way of like, oh, I don't like that name. And then they go, okay, I'll still call you by it. And you go, that's not my name though.
And that's right. That's the
One
that gets you.
Because it's been years of someone calling me a shortened name when I've given a name that isn't a shortened one and say, oh, that's not my name. And then people don't use the correct one. So to me, names are important. So Boise would be like, I think Boise is technically closer to like the French pronunciation, if I remember correctly, of like because it'd be Le Bois, Le Bois would be or is it Le Bois?
Le Bois
for the trees. Mm-hmm. I think there's another name. But I don't honestly know because I'm not French speaking, originating. So, there might be a reason why people say Boise instead of Boise, but people in the area call it Boise. So that's just
It's
how
laziness. I'm from the area, and I've always called it Boise.
I know Boise. Well, there's
I think
also
it sounds cooler.
well,
And I do it to bug people.
it's human dialect, especially in the area that you're from, because there'll be ways that people say "what you doing" instead of "what you," and they'll like There's a way that people speak that make their dialects lazier, so that way when you talk, you're using a shortened or just like a quicker version of words.
I text the word chew all the time.
I-
It's like, what you up to? It's CHU.
And I purposefully have made it so my speech gets rid of those and makes like I don't say chew when I talk to somebody. I don't I try to enunciate my T's and just try to make my my speech better for people to understand. It doesn't work all the time because there's some people that still not like you still don't understand the way that someone else talks if you're not from the area, and it gets picked up every once in a while too. So
I kind of do the opposite with my writing, where I want it to sound more believable, so I make it lazier. And you gave me the perfect way to say what that is you're making it lazier because people write, they want it to sound eloquent, they want it to sound like great writing when you read it, but it doesn't hit the ear. Like, that's not how people talk. You have to make it really lazy.
well, it depends on who you're writing for.
Yeah.
One of the
that's
things I think about is like Remy LeBeau in the Marvel comics. I love reading the way that they write his dialect is so that way when you're reading it, it sounds like you're reading the Creole type of like just his accent was in there, so they shorten the words so that way if it's it's ta, they take out the H. I'm trying to think because I actually was in a little small independent film where I used his dialect as a inspiration for my character, I gave him a Creole type of accent. And it's been years, so trying to recall it where I'm not going to be embarrassed to say it, which I don't care.
We'll have you
much.
try some out right here on the microphone.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember what some of it is, because it'd be things like when he talks to women and calls them cher or cherie, and he's. I usually try to think about the cartoon from back in the day, back in the 1990s.
Yep.
Weird.
It was the Ninja Turtles that taught me the most Creole.
The most real? I guess so, because it was the alligator.
That alligator guy.
Yeah. No, I'm thinking about
Leatherhead.
things where it was Remy and he goes, things don't get much better than this, and then he like tosses the cards out.
Maybe
Yeah.
we take a pizza break. You guys want to take a pizza break? Or not? We could wait till after.
We're in the middle of this. We can just keep going.
All right, well, I mean, brings us to the next question. I know the answer to this, and you don't have to say where, but is being an artist your full-time job, or do you have a day job?
I am not a full-time artist. I have a day job. Doing art has been a passion, and it's been one that I've been trying to pursue for the past 10 years as a professional. Obviously, when people come to my booth or they see me and they ask how long I've been doing art for, I usually answer with all my life, but the answer for professional would be for about 10 years now. We started making it a profession and more of a goal that we were going towards since 2016. I would have started in 2015, but my wife and I were getting married in 2015, and she's like, one thing at a time, don't fuck up our wedding by going and making art a career this year. You can do it next year, because we'll jump full force into some things as an ADHD like issue. I will go for full force at first, and then we'll die out immediately after. It's like, okay, that project's not my main, like, it's not giving me the same sort of like drive as it used to. Now it's time for the next thing.
Yeah.
But the art career has always been a goal that I've been going towards. It's just the other stuff that has been dwindling, like posts all like every day, or creating like a small piece more often, which I've been trying to get back into doing, so that way I can progress the art career more by having more stuff. Which posting every day is not always, posting new stuff every day isn't the goal. You can post your old things and still get new interactions with it, because there are a lot of people that don't see your old stuff, especially something I did 10 years ago, which doesn't represent what I'm doing now, but there's still things that you've made that like it's beneficial to have someone see that they never got to when they started following you a year, like 2 or 5 years ago. They still didn't see something that you've made that had an impression about who you are to an audience. And
It does add context of who you are as an artist. For
yeah,
sure.
I mean, I have got my portfolios that people see, and there's a lot of stuff that I show them that I'm not happy about how it is now, but back in the day it was still good. But I'll still have some of those pieces in there just to give them a representation of something that I did so many years ago, and then you can see the progress of it, especially something that I made 10 years ago next to something I made recently, and then I can express to them about how an artist develops over the years and how you evolve, expand your craft, turn into like the current art form that you're doing and art style.
Yeah. Well, we'll jump into those then, since you're already bringing up time frame. But so you obviously you started taking art as a serious path about 10 years ago. What was your initial interest in art?
My initial interest, well, it was, there's a lot of comics and different things. And by comics, I mean the Sunday paper comics.
Yeah.
Bill Watterson was always a huge inspiration, and I loved his watercolors, which I will refer to every once in a while for some inspiration. And like my school years before making art a profession was just doodling and everything that every assignment that I had, every piece, like every project I was working on, every time the teacher was talking, I was just drawing, and I would draw stuff like, I draw my favorite anime at the time, which was Dragon Ball Z. I love drawing those characters. I spent a lot of time drawing those to help develop a style. I also drew Johnny the Homicidal Maniac.
Yep.
He was a big inspiration, and I liked the art form, like the 90s grungy kind of sharper art style is a lot of what I do now still, but I like to draw things that were characters that I turned my friends into, had like a big comic series that I wanted to create, like comic book series that I've yet to do, but I still keep drawing the characters from time to time and the stories in my head that my spouse has been encouraging me to do. But over the years and understanding that there's still things that I'm trying to get out there before I do a full-fledged comic book that's going to be taking up all of my time, which I really need to do. And that's the thing that a lot of artists who are professional that make comics will tell people is just to do it.
Yeah.
If you have an idea and something you want to do, don't wait, just do it. But I'll still wait a while longer. We'll see. There's still a lot of stuff that I'm working on.
Yeah.
A lot of the things I make now are things that I wasn't really working on at the time, which would be the history stuff that we're talking about, where it would be like Krampus, or I will draw some folklore. There'll be different historical creatures and monsters that I'll make nowadays that I wasn't doing as much back in the day. Because back in the day would be more of the like, I'd be drawing dinosaurs. A lot of like, during my elementary school, I was drawing that and then developing it more into drawing people and then drawing
historical references. Now, I always feel that when I see your current work, I know there's going to be a great explanation of who this is, what is their history.
Yeah.
Well, I'll look into the historical creatures and then I'll design them based off of what their original descriptions were instead of a more modern thing. Like there's a unicorn that I draw where it's got the long, elegant tail like a lion's tail with the fur at the end instead of the modern just horse with a horn slapped on it, where it's literal just like horse's tail, horse with a horn. But mine, I've looked at like the original art style of it. I think it was the Taming of the Unicorn is one of the original like tapestries that they depicts a unicorn having a more like a different look to it. The hooves are split; they're not a solid toe, and then it's got like a mane around its neck, and then it's got a lion's tail. And it's a unique creature. The monsters and stuff that I'll make or the folklore that I do is based off of something that was intrinsically like mystical. It was mythical. It had something unique about it. So there's a art piece that I have of a phoenix where it doesn't have fiery wings. It has purple feathers and then a gold plumage, and that was the original description of them, was that they had a certain look to them. These things were designed in a way that made them unique. But then over the years, I think that because it has an association with fire, and people probably have gotten him confused with the Russian firebird, which actually had wings that were so bright and illuminated that they were to represent, like they resembled flames, that it was probably the two of the things mixed together. Or over the years, stuff gets changed from person to person. With history, a lot of it was word of mouth, so things were changing and evolving from person to person. And I look towards their original descriptions to try to make something, because then what it ends up doing too is that because you're making a piece now that is based off of its original idea, it's like gone full circle where now it's something unique and different again because you're doing its original design.
Yeah. All right. So going off that, when you did start taking art seriously as a career path, what did that look like for you?
When I first started to look at it seriously, it was when I was going to different like craft trade shows, art shows, and I would see all the other artists, and I knew that art was a thing that I wanted to do, but it was a thing that I didn't know how to begin doing. Mm-hmm. And I went to some local events where there was a guy who came in from out of town. His name is Justin Hillgrove of Imps and Monsters. His booth when I went there was lined with people like around his canopy, and it's one that I go back to every year, and it's the same. People are always lining up to this guy's booth, and I was like, well, I saw his artwork, and it was fun and interesting. He had some collaboration of things like Where the Wild Things Are and Studio Ghibli characters as like the Princess Mononoke was Max, and then My Neighbor Totoro was one of the Wild Things, and it would be those different Studio Ghibli characters turned into Wild Things, or it would be collabs of like. There was one of Buffy the Vampire Slayers fighting Sesame Street, and it was like the Count from Sesame Street, and then Cookie Monster and stuff. And he had a fun, interesting style, and he was obviously very well like established and progressed with his style and with his interest with people. That I asked him how he got started, and he was someone who took the time to give me the idea, like to give me input and tell me how to get started myself. He gave me his number, told me to contact him. He was obviously busy. He said when he's got some time, contact him. And so I called him at his house, and he told me of where to go to get started. Gave me the some small places to get yourself going with it before you actually get out and make yourself get yourself a booth and get started in art and selling it. So he's told me to go to like a FedEx Kinko's. They can scan your stuff, print it, get yourself 12 to 15 pieces to start out. Something to represent your work before you go and really dive into it, and something that introduces yourself to the community. He told me that as well as he's doing now, when he first started, he was in the red in his shows. Made like no money. He sold to family. He sold like one or two pieces. And if that's the case, don't get discouraged, which when I went to my first shows, I felt like I was never in the red, but I probably wasn't counting everything that I was paying for.
Yeah.
Well, my very first show was a free show. It was for a small Comic-Con that was put together for a local community college, and it was called CWI Comic-Con. It was free for everybody, free to attend, free for artists to be there. You just signed up. So I didn't have a booth fee, which was really great for a small-time artist starting out. And then I just had to pay for my prints, which when we went to FedEx, Kinko's, they did a terrible job. My stuff came out pixelated and terrible. I went to another place. It was a local UPS store, and the guy behind the counter was an asshole. He had really bad customer service. He was really bad with talking to people, but I didn't let that discourage me. I was just like, hey, I want to have some stuff printed. He goes, what do you want? And I'm going to go, I don't know. You tell me what I need, because you're a print guy. What do I need to have? Because I wasn't told what types of like paper or anything like that. So when I asked him for his input, he puts his hands, palms down on the table, breathes in heavy. He's like, okay. Do you need it this way? I can scan these for you and do it professionally. It's going to cost this much. I'm like, I just need them scanned. I'll do all the work myself, and I don't need you to clean them up. And over the years of dealing with the guy, he opened up and was a really good guy. Like, every time I see him, he's just like, Spooky Dinosaur, I'm so glad to see you. And just like, everyone else is just like, fuck off, basically.
Yeah.
He just was a really standoff person when you didn't know him, but getting to know him, it made the interaction with someone who was doing my prints a lot more enjoyable. But so the prints were cheaper, they were fine, they made it so that way I can go to these shows, and he gave me some input on things here and there. So it was like, over the years, the people that I would be dealing with would be helping me like get my prints done and get more knowledge on how I should be doing shows, how to display your work to people, what stuff would be good to the interaction, the community around you helps with getting you started. And there are people out there who are willing to lend a hand and lend their insight and their knowledge to get those who are looking to make themselves a professional artist get started. And so those were those stepping stones for me. Those are the things that got me going with it.
Yeah.
And how it got me to where I am currently with it. I also use those as like, I try to have the same thing. Basically, my telling this story here is to hopefully tell other people how to get going, because that's one of my big parts of my shows. One of my setup and doing these is that I try to give out that's the same information to anyone who's looking for it to get them going as well, because hopefully it'll help progress another like up and coming artist, someone who's looking at it from the angle that I was originally, from the outside in, and get them started in their own career.
We're hoping to do just about everybody we interview. You're learning something new, and I think it's always so helpful for the beginners to go, oh, these guys that are already pretty established, they were in the exact same spot I was. These are the few steps that they've taken.
Well, and I've always been a purveyor of trying to help other people and help them get out there and show their stuff, because when I first started getting into it, there was a lot of gatekeeping where people were like, no, you have to be an artist, like full time, like you can't do anything else. You shouldn't be doing shows unless that's what you're doing. And yeah, I mean, Justin was one of the first people I saw that did something different, like at Art in the Park, that wasn't, a landscape or a trout, where it's like, it was something I was interested in. I'm like, oh, you're actually out here doing your own art, and you've got a line out your booth. Like, I want to do this.
Well, and I bring up Justin as one of the first ones, but a lot of people don't know, because I know you, Sam, don't know, but I saw Chopsy first before I saw Justin Hillgrove, and we didn't talk to each other as the same way that I talked to Justin, but I did see Chopsy at Art in the Park, or sorry, not Art in the Park, it was Napa Festival of the Arts.
Yeah.
He had a booth there. It said, I know you had a table on the front of it instead of like a tablecloth or like a stand-up retractable banner. You had a banner across the front of your booth.
Yep.
It had your name on it. It's like Chopsy. I don't remember what it said, but I know that you were talking to someone else about getting started in doing art. And I overheard you talking to this someone a lot younger than both of us, about getting started in doing their work, because I believe you had just come from out of state, at least either back in the area or because I thought you come from Washington State.
Yeah, we were in Washington, so that would have been...
It was over 10 years ago.
Yeah, because no, we moved back in 2019, so it would have been probably way before that. But it was probably when I was still going under Beneath the Floorboards.
It might have been.
So
I have the Tick print of yours.
Yeah.
It's up on my wall, and I know that the first time you came over for a Halloween party, I just pointed it out to you. I'm like, I've got this. We've met each other before.
Yeah.
But it was one of those, like, I saw him one time, and he had a nice print that, like, I like the style. It was something that people don't do very often, because in this area, it's a lot of landscapes and scenery and...
Barns and horses.
Yes.
Well... being in this state, it's like fish, like trout. You have people doing hunting or fishing, or it's going to be barns and horses, or it's going to be landscapes.
Yeah.
And you just go, oh, cool.
And I gotta suck those filthy words right back in my mouth. If you like barns and horses, it's cool. I'm not against them, but it does seem like, sometimes there's a saturation.
There's nothing wrong with liking those, because
totally.
So
it's
one of my
good art, but...
one of my favorite artists, and someone who is my biggest influence that people almost never say, but it's when I show it to them, they see it. Gris Grimley, some of the pieces that he's done, where I'll look at either books that he puts. I don't know if these are in his books, but at least it's on his social medias. He's done studies of things like barns, and then some of his work has, because he's got a rustic American style but like still sort of similar to like that 90s grunge-ish, where I say 90s grunge, but it predates it to more of a like German impressionistic Dr. Caligari's film, like cinematography style of like set design for what he does, like the type of art style that you could compare it to. It's the same thing that people can see in Tim Burton's work, and that's my biggest like comparison that people have, because it's the biggest name they can think of, would be comparing my stuff to Tim Burton, even though he's not... I like his stuff. He's not my biggest influence, but I definitely see it, because it's like the darker style that people will be able to associate it with.
The juxtaposition of whimsy and horror.
But with Chris Grimley, he's done things like, there was an old McDonald book that he did, where it's got like barns in it, and he's done studies on barns and things, because he's making like dark spooky art that is relatable, and he wants to be making it realistic while in his style. So he'll do barns, he's done stuff like I remember seeing some flowers and things, and then he turns those pieces later into Frankenstein's monster holding this daisy, and he's just doing a study on how. So you got to know how to do realistic things like a barn, so that way you can incorporate how it looks decrepit in the distance, so that way you can have it in your dark spooky piece of like the axe murderer at an old American home, where it was basically you could have it be the Gothic American family or whatever it was called, and because I don't remember the names of classic art,
American Gothic.
American Gothic.
Yeah.
See,
You're close.
Yeah, you just
I
use
know.
the word Gothic and you say painting. Everybody knows. They're like the guy with the
I'm an
pitchfork.
artist that has no knowledge of art history, and I'm sure that's similar with a lot of people, where you can have American Gothic turned into the guy murdering his wife.
Yeah.
It was like the farmer killing his wife, and you have the farmhouse and the barn and everything decrepit and messed up looking, so that way you understand how that should be turned into.
That's it too. I think knowing the illustrative skills to show the texture in rustic stuff it's beyond people don't understand that there's something beautiful and technical about getting that stuff down.
Well, that's the stuff I like, is the like the texture and those certain things, but not every artist is that way, that's the beauty of art, is that it can all be different. Someone could do the exact same one. Well, Chopsy and I have the same influences,
We do.
and his style is completely different from mine. And I know this is something you brought up before, as you are interested to see. You thought it was really interesting, the difference in our art forms and our art styles, but we grew up with the exact same influences. We both like Lenore, Cute Little Dead Girl from Roman Dirge. We like Johnny the Homicidal Maniac and Invader Zim from Jonan Vasquez. We both like Gris Grimley. We both
Edward Gorey.
Edward Gorey is another one. I love his stuff. He did the intro to Masterpiece Theater back in on PBS.
That intro was all I liked about that. Once it was done, I'm like, the show's okay.
Yeah.
But it's not that intro. Yes.
Yeah, it's really interesting because we have a lot of the same influences, and our styles are like night and day difference.
His is more of a simplified cartoonish, and then mine is it's still cartoonish. It's not realistic at all. And my characters have really bizarre angles and facial features, and I try to highlight some of the uniqueness of some people's visual facial structure and their body structure, but then I try to have things that are the details and the grunginess to it, the line work in there.
Your line work's very angular, and whereas mine's a lot more rounded. So
this is something that I've never really thought about, but I've had people tell it to me recently. My line work is really appealing to some of the people that I've shown my sketch pads to, and it's the harshness of my lines that I draw, which is really bad for doing a draft, because it's really difficult to get rid of once I try to erase it.
Yeah.
And I'm a really I press really hard when I draw and when I make my work. But there's been a few people, there was a guy who's on my work who's got an issue with ADHD, and he told me how appealing my art style and my drawing lines were, because it just popped out and stood out to him. And he was someone who was raised drawing in a really soft draw style and drawing form, so that way you didn't leave lines that you didn't want to leave ghost lines on your paper or cause this really bad issue of leaving artifacts that you don't want in your artwork. And I just can't get away from it. But there's been more and more people lately have told me how much they really enjoy the drawing form that I have and how it just stands out to them. And I didn't realize it did. So it's been good to hear that from other artists in the community that I've been showing it to.
yeah.
It's expressive. It shows, like you said, you press hard. And the way, like you said, angular and pointy, it's the expression that you're putting in the line work that it comes through. Like the emotion.
Yeah, your artwork has a commitment to that line.
I used to only draw in pen too.
Oh, yeah.
This brings up my favorite question.
So-
What type of materials do you like to use a lot?
I would say his medium of choice is watercolor.
That is my medium of choice. I've been getting into digital things more recently, which is bad for someone who is a perfectionist because that back button is the worst.
And
part about
watercolor,
it.
you kind of have to give up eventually.
No, it's not giving up.
Not
So-
giving up, but you could call it finished rather than like having the easy ability to just take that decision back and try it again.
Ballpoint pen was I love ballpoint pen, the way it looks on paper. It takes a lot longer to do some pieces, especially if you try to fill in with it. And I've done full pieces filled in with ballpoint pen. It killed a lot of pens that way. I'd have to say too, because I'm sure some people are wanting to know, Zebras are my favorite pen. The .5, the like solid metal case ones.
Oh, okay.
Those ones are my favorites, but I do like some of the others, like Bics have been pretty good. Atlantis Bics were ones that I used. The issue you have with those sometimes is that the nib builds up with ink. And so if you're looking for small lines, then when you use those and you get that build up and you go to draw with it and it just leaves a big smudge, like a big dollop of ink right on your page.
Yep.
It's hard to get rid of those because you can't really do much about it. But watercolor is my favorite medium. The reason why is I like the way that it leaves the texture on the paper. I feel like watercolor does more of the work for me than if I was using a medium such as acrylics and I've never used oils. That one to me is what watercolor is to other people. I'm afraid of it because I know that it takes a lot longer for it to dry, and I've never really used it. And my concern is I'm going to put my hand in a wet spot or like brush over something that's still wet. I'm just going to cause these colors to go wherever I don't want them, or I'm going to like just ruin the whole piece. With watercolor, that's usually people's concerns, is that they're afraid of it because you can't control it as easily as what I've been told, which is not my it's not my experience with it. It's just not the way I feel about watercolor. But they also tell me the other things that people also say about watercolor is that it takes a long, like, they probably are painting wet on wet next to each other, which causes those two colors if you're using a vibrant pink or something, and you're going to put it next to a dull gray or a yellow or whatever, then the two colors touch, they spread into each other immediately. There's nothing you can do about it at that point. You've now blended two colors you didn't mean to. I like to, as the type of artist that I am, I'm real meticulous. I like to give myself time to work on things. So I let my pieces dry to a stage before I start painting some more.
Nice.
And I believe most people, like most artists that are acrylic artists or someone who is a fast artist, they like it when their stuff can put it on the canvas.
It's dry
And it's dry immediately. Yeah, you can you're like bam, 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 slap, slap, color on there, and you're just going until you're done. And you don't have that opportunity with watercolors. There are tricks you can do. You can use a hairdryer, and you can use different ways to help dry up the paper and dry that water on there, so that way you can continue to just keep going. And so when they do watercolors, they're just hoping to still do the same thing. Slap color on there, here and there, just keep going. And so they're not trained in the mindset of being
patient.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
Good luck these days.
well, with how much social media demands that you have to have things out there constantly, it makes it harder to do a piece that is going to take time, especially huge pieces. If you're doing a watercolor piece, you're supposed to be taking your time with it. You layer your colors on top of each other, and that's how you get some of your really dark tones. Or you do a smaller piece that you're able to slap a lot of heavy, deep colors on there. So that way, when it dries, you're only putting like a layer of paint on it. That way, you're not blending or mixing or having the like different tones over each other. I'll have that issue every once in a while. I'm not a professional with watercolor. I definitely am at a stage where it's better than most. And I'll get someone who comes and sees my shows that I'm at, and they look at what I've done and they're astounded by that I made this piece in watercolor. They are like shocked. You made this in watercolor? I didn't know watercolor could do this. It's like, you just gotta have some patience with it and just have practice in whatever you're trying to do.
We were the last patient generation.
I'm not patient with watercolors at all.
We're not the last patient. Don't give you shit like that.
I'll tell you what, though. I think maybe the one superpower that I have in art amongst anything else is patience. It's either patience to work with something until it works, or patience, just like you said, where you have the process demands that you step away for a second till something dries and then get back to it. And that amount of patience was hell for me to learn. I have very little myself, but...
Well, and then with the watercolor too, is I've used some of the way that the water and the colors bleed on the paper to help guide where I'm going to be putting more color later. So there was a piece I did of, it's called Krampus in der Nacht. It means Krampus in the night. It is one where he's in front of a fireplace. He's dark. You can barely make out his facial features. He's got a kid that he's putting into his basket. And I got this chimney fireplace that's in the background. And one of the issues I was having was making the stonework in there look natural. And I was trying to base it off of stones that I was referencing. And it just was turning out it wasn't turning out, was the main issue. But there were lines in the way that the colors bled onto the paper that I could follow with my brush and with my eye that I saw that I go, that looks to me like a natural organic stonework where the mortar would be in between each stone. And I followed that to create what I felt looked like a more realistic chimney in like a old rustic fireplace. And there are times when I'm making paintings in watercolor where my eye's just catching the way that the water is bled on the paper to help guide where my next brush strokes are going to go and create parts of my painting that I was not even anticipating beforehand.
I love that.
Nice.
I love the working piece informs how it keeps going. I do that sometimes too. I like that. It's almost like mistakes. The mistakes isn't quite the right word, but unintentionalities where you notice them and you go, wow, I didn't intend that, but I'm seeing something different. That's what's really cool.
Nice. So, did you go to school for art? Do you have a background in art education?
I believe I mentioned that no, I don't have I didn't go to school for it other than high school, for the courses there.
Yeah.
And I failed all of those too.
Really?
I did fail a lot of my classes, but it's because I wouldn't turn in work.
Okay.
That's the reason why I failed a lot of my, but, so making art a career, I would look at a lot of other artists' pieces that they made. I would look for tutorials online. I'd buy artist books, but I never had I didn't go to school for it in the sense of high school, any sort of higher learning outside of...
Not a formal art education.
Right.
Yeah.
It's mostly I want to do this, so I'm going to try to figure it out and just keep going with what I'm looking at with other people's work and imitate. I'm an artist of, my education is from doing it firsthand.
Yeah.
And then I would use another piece that I would look at and be like, I would try to figure out how someone got to the end result that they did. And that's part of my education is either looking into it after I've seen someone do something. Part of the watercolor that I do is I use a masking that I put over where I don't want there to be color, so that way I can paint more recklessly when I'm trying to do stuff around a spot that needs to be white, like whites of eyes or mouths, or if something's got a lighter tone. And I know I saw materials at the store that you could buy, but I didn't really know how to use them. And then I was watching Chris Grimley paint something and made a reel on social media that I was watching, and it showed him peeling back this masking. And I wanted to know how he did it, so I reached out in a question on the post that he made. He didn't answer me directly, but someone else did from his community and from his base that told me that you can buy for cheap the liquid latex you use to make skin, like scars and different things for Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
If you use that, and you can paint it on with a brush, but you got to make sure that this is the thing this person also told me, was that you want to get the bristles of your brush wet and then brush over a bar of soap to get some soap on your bristles, so that way when you use the liquid latex and it dries, like you're not messing up those bristles. Because I had that issue one time, was I used liquid latex, or it might have been the store bought like expensive tiny bottle of masking, as compared to a like liter of liquid latex for $15 or something. It's like basically the same price you could buy this 8-ounce thing of artistic liquid latex, or it was like watercolor masking is what it's called.
Yeah.
And they just instructed me, make sure you use soapy bristles with a brush, and then you can dip that into your liquid latex and you can brush over where you want. It'll dry, and then you can paint over the top of that. It won't get your it won't color the paper, and then you can peel it back because it's a really like light on its adhesion, so that way it doesn't tear the paper afterwards.
That's rad. I'm going to start using that. I did the thing where you just take masking tape and cover layer over layer over layer, and then X-Acto knife
Around it.
Yeah, that's a pain in the ass.
It can be, and then if you're not careful with your masking,
How you set it down, it can bleed underneath it.
well, it won't bleed underneath it, but if you're not doing straight lines like you can with the X-Acto knife and masking tape, then you might have really jagged edges, and where you daubed on a bunch of masking at one spot, and then you dragged and pulled around it, and you have like
It's obvious
crisper
where that-
lines. It can make it obvious, and I've seen that in some of my old pieces when I'm going back and looking at things with a fine-tooth comb and looking at some of my old pieces where I did masking. I go, oh well, I didn't end up filling in where I had pulled back the masking and hid where I did that. No one notices but me. But I'm the artist, and I'll notice stuff that no one else will, and I will never get around not doing that.
Classic.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go off script. We were both in Swell Artist Collective together. What was your experience with Swell like for you?
My experience with Swell was vastly different from everyone else's because I was helping with their posts. Noble Hardesty, who put on Swell, worked with me to be one of the members in there, and my experience with it was doing stuff like I would help him put up some of the shows in galleries.
Yeah.
I got a little bit of insight personally from the person putting on the shows with getting some of the events just put together, but not so much how to make a show from start to finish.
Yeah.
It was good to see the gathering of different artists for a collection of a certain topic and mingle with them and be able to chat with these other artists who have different histories and backgrounds in formal education or not.
Yeah.
And then meeting with a community that wanted to see a show. Swell had shows that had a gathering. People came to those shows,
Yeah.
as compared to some of the other ones I've done. I've done some smaller. Well, I've been in other groups that were smaller. Be like not TVAA, but there was a group before that ended up getting absorbed into it. It was called the Nampa Art Collective.
Yep.
And they did the shows that everyone knows for a small community, where you did landscapes and you did flowers, and their gallery shows were of little stuff that would appeal to little old ladies doing artwork as a hobby,
Yeah.
as compared to doing it for yourself. That was your interests in things that weren't just landscapes, and doing it for training yourself on doing flowers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like Swell Artist Collective made events that people were jealous of, that wanted to do themselves. I remember hearing about people complaining that we had the best shows in the area, and Noble telling them, like, you can make your own event, you can make your own show. I don't have the authority, or like not the authority. It wasn't just his thing. It wasn't
Yeah.
like, well, now you can't.
What do you think was the magic sauce that they had?
Well, the magic sauce was Noble Hardesty, honestly. He
Yeah.
had the know-how to do the shows. He'd been doing it for so long that he knew what needed to be done to get people to them. He also had the he knew people.
The connections.
He had the connections
Yeah.
to be able to get those shows going, to who to go to get them up and running. He knew people, like he knew the community. I mean, the community knew him too.
Yeah.
So the magic for those shows was the guy behind it, and and then also what he was presenting and introducing to the area too. The Art Deco, which was we did artwork on skateboard decks, and people loved that show. They came, like, it was a bidding war on people's pieces, because that was what that show was where you wouldn't put down the total price of what you wanted. You put down a starting bid, and then it was like that show and a few others were some of the only art gallery shows I've been to, which hasn't been very many, that people bought my artwork at. And doing some of the other ones, you'd over at like the Civic Center or for the NAC, you had very few people there. They weren't very interesting shows, and it was going to be the same crowd that went to those as compared to, like, we went and had a show for the Swell Art Collective in a tavern, like in a bar. It was that was also an arcade.
Oh, yeah.
It was like they were being done in
bar.
places that people were going to, that like the people that were interested in what we were doing were going to be there, and we were making stuff that those people were interested in. So we had and part of it was that he knew who to talk to get those shows approved and go, like, where we were going to. And then someone who had been doing it for so long also had the know-how of, like, he had the knowledge of getting them going and where we were going to go with them and all that kind of stuff. I know I'm repeating myself, but
Yeah. Well, yeah, because me and Sam have kind of tossed around the idea of putting together like an illustration collective and trying to host our own events, and knowing where to even start with that is kind of the hurdle. Like,
yes.
How do you get started doing that? And
Part of the starting is going to be the connections that we don't have. Because when Swell disbanded,
yeah,
I still chat with Noble, and he brings up shows and stuff like that every once in a while. He's brought up how people are like, when is like another thing like Swell coming back? And it's not going to come back. And Noble has mentioned in my presence, I don't know if he does this to other people too, just like, it would be really nice if someone was able to get another
Somebody
thing.
else does it, yeah.
He doesn't.
He's tired. There was so much on his
Yes.
shoulders.
But it sounds like he, like, hey, nudge, nudge. It'd be really nice if someone was to do that. And I would be all for getting something like that started. But that was his main job.
Mm-hmm.
And
for a long time. Yeah.
And I don't have art as my main job. So I can't.
So this is going to be up to me, huh? I'm feeling and hearing it. And
No.
It's like...
It's when you.
I'm not saying I'm not in a bad way, but
Right.
like, really, who has the opportunity?
Yeah.
I do, and I maybe need to push a little. I maybe need to get.
Well,
my
he
ass off
overworked
my
himself.
shoulder blades a little bit.
He did overwork himself.
He overworked himself on making these shows and he didn't make any money at it. It was just doing show after show after show. That, like, Swell wasn't making any money.
Well, when you say connections, so it almost sounds like
burned
he had
himself out.
connections that nobody else has. Well, like, to whom? Like the people that run a bar that you the places.
Yes.
Yeah,
'Cause
different.
It's very easy to find out
Yes.
who owns those and say, hey, let's have a cool
Well,
conversation.
and
Real quick.
You also have to
Yeah.
pay for the space sometimes. Not all the time. I've had people who have been like, I'll put your artwork up in my, especially when I was starting out, it'd be a small coffee shop or something that said, oh yeah, you can put your artwork up in my establishment. I would love to have some original pieces from a local artist that I can display and then sell. But it's different from that as compared to when you're doing a show that people, like, you're asking to displace someone's place of business for a while. And the reason would be that you're hopefully going to generate business for them.
Yeah.
If you're taking over somebody's place of business that sells food or drinks for a night, and they have to basically close down for your art show, that you might have to
pay them.
You might have to pay them
compensate that loss.
like an event center would.
Yeah.
You'd have to pay them to compensate the losses that they're going to lose. But if you're opening it up as a gallery show, the idea, maybe you can work something with them to have a show that you tell them, well, I'm going to bring in 100 people or plus people.
Yeah.
They will they'll buy food from you. That's not a guarantee, but it is the idea behind it.
Yeah.
With 100 people coming, at least 20 of them are going to get.
You're gonna have the artists there, and then hopefully the artists are gonna bring people. But if you're making if you're doing your job as an artist and a marketer and presenter, you're also putting it out in the community that you're putting on a show, and then from there you can hopefully get more people to come to it. He had collectors for some of the artists that were in the Swell Artist Collective that would make it to every one of his shows, and they would sell something every single time. I got a piece from an artist that was at one of those shows who didn't realize that the bidding ended at a certain time, and for like his specific piece. So when he came back at the end of the event, he was upset that he didn't get another one of that same artist's work because he missed out on the bid on it because he didn't return in time to bid on it again. And my wife ended up bidding on that piece, and we won it. And I didn't realize that we got it, but there were artists that people were going to have a community, like his fan base was going to be there every time. And some of those people were going to, so it was like getting the right artists to be at your show, getting the right place, and getting the right people and like having the right show to get them to it. It's more than just like having the time to be able to put a show together, but you also have to have all these elements that he knew to get
Sounds like
something.
you're saying I won't have the ability to have.
I don't know if you do. Do you?
I'm just gonna have to prove you wrong, and that'll be my only driving force.
Yes.
That's the only reason I got good at art, was try to prove my dad wrong.
It feels like that when Swell left, that it opened up a void in the art community,
which
that
I
has
think is
not
a
been
hole to be
fulfilled
filled.
yet.
Yeah, it just somebody has to say, I have the time, I have the interest, I know, and I'm starting to get to know a lot of people, and I do have time.
Well, so last year it wasn't a Swell event, but Noble Hardesty put on basically a Swell event, and it drew a large crowd.
Yeah.
We'd made another Krampus show where everyone made a piece based off of Krampus.
So really, what might be the easiest way is get Noble Hardesty on board somehow for a short period of time.
No.
And he's just got to pass the torch.
He won't.
He won't do it.
Well, he needs to pass the torch, but he won't help
That's
it.
it.
He won't help people do it.
No, we're not asking him to get off and do all the work. But if he could at least say, hey, everybody that loved Swell, we don't want to fucking do Swell, but here's the next guys that are doing
we
that
want to do
basically.
Swell again. He just can't be there. But he's not going to sell Swell, which is fine. That was his thing. If I had the time and if he was willing to teach me, I would be willing to learn how to put these shows on myself.
Yeah.
But I just don't have the time to do them. And maybe it's an inexperienced mindset of not knowing what it takes to do them. I'm like, oh, if I did, like, maybe if I actually tried it, we're like, oh, I could do these every once in a while. It's not as bad as I thought. And that's part of the same thing like we talked about with doing artwork. Just do it. If you want something,
And then you learn as you're doing
well,
it.
kind of you learn as you do it, and then you learn from your mistakes. And it's like you think that maybe the best time would be later when you've learned more, but sometimes the best learning tool is to just jump into it and do it.
Right in,
I mean, obviously, putting it together a huge event, if you didn't have the funds to do it, and you spend a lot of money, and then you go. Like you waste a ton of your time and money sinking into it. Is a bad thing to do.
I think here's the thing that we might be getting stuck on is we always think it's one person, because Noble was one guy that held on so much, but that's why it fell apart. Maybe we need to learn how to give each other the chores. Like, I'm better at this part, you're better at this part, you're better at the person. But let's all get together like once a week and talk about getting it done.
I mean, the pandemic didn't help the situation.
That's what really-
situation
it did.
here. That was a big factor in
Swell disbanding.
in him getting burnt out and Swell disbanding.
Well, also he had health issues that he was worried about, and he's like, he needed to worry about himself more than he needed to keep Swell going.
Here's another question. Was he kind of gatekeeping this knowledge, or was he hoping an apprentice would step up that he could just say, here, you let me teach you all this stuff, but you didn't have the time?
Well, no, Spooky Dinosaur did a lot with him as far as learning it. He was working as kind of his apprentice behind the scenes and helping with stuff, and it was still at that point was already kind of, because of the pandemic and everything else going on, was kind of starting to work its way out.
And
so we're just slowly working our way to it coming back. That's really
I've thought about putting together a show similar to like what Noble did this last year, and he will probably do another one. Because my wife and her friends put together the Wicked Winter Market, and it's basically the same thing that we're talking about, where it's like people getting together to put an event on that will draw a crowd and get the right type of people there and have the right type of artists. And I've thought about trying to put together, like, not put together, I've thought about asking the artists if they want to make a piece, and we do our own little gallery for the Wiki Winter Market where it'll have another draw to it where we're making something, whether it's based off of like the winter folklore of other cultures and other like histories that we're not familiar with, or we just do another Krampus piece and just be like, yeah, this is another one of these. We know that there's interest in it. Krampus is the biggest one that most people know, but there's other things out there that would still be interesting or fun to do. And the reason why I say only focusing on something that people know is because Noble did, like during Swell, we did a show called the Yule Show, where it wasn't Krampus specific. He's like, do something different. And we'll do a Krampus one another year, because we did one that was Krampus, and then he did the Yule Show, but then we did Krampus number 2. And the people doing the art show didn't seem as interested in something that wasn't the known, which was Krampus.
Yeah.
And it might just be getting people on board and knowing the difference and like educating the community, which is what that event is doing and what we try to do with it, is tell people there's a spooky time of year that isn't just Halloween. It's also winter. It's also the Christmas Yuletide season. And then those people who like things about winter, or that like things about Halloween, realize that a lot of the same elements are part of the winter season, but from a time frame that we don't like know anymore in the area that we're in. And it would be an interest, like it is an interest of mine to put something like that on, but then I also don't want to step on the toes of the people putting on the Wicca Winter Market, the Society of Fan Advancement that puts that on, and I'd have to make sure that those things are being thought about and planned out ahead of time. Which the new place this year, the Revolution Concert House and Event Center, would be a good place to do it at.
It would.
They have
plenty of room.
There's plenty of room, and there's some wall space. We'd have to probably ask them about it, but when we've done shows for Swell, it was at the Visual Arts Collective, which is just a smaller version of the same thing as the Revolution Concert House. It's a small, like the VAC is a small venue that sells alcohol, has a stage for music, and wall space for art. So it's possible we could do it and then have it out there. But the concern I would have with it is that the vendors wouldn't be near their art piece unless they wanted to take up their own table space for it, which you don't want to do as a vendor most of the time.
Yeah.
Is having to displace how you normally set up or how you're setting up to a show. And then you also have to make it based off of the size of the piece that you're going to do. So if you make a huge piece, but you're expecting to put it on like a wall space for something that is feet large, like so many feet large, like length and width, as compared to I'm going to do a small enough piece that I can put on my table and the people can buy it.
And put a couple of them on one table.
Yeah. So you'd want to put someone next to their original piece, like probably by a wall, but not all the artists would be able to be next to where their painting was. That would be the thing I would want to have done with that, but you're not going to be able to do it for everybody.
Yeah.
So it's the concern and the problem of doing something that is probably a little bit more ambitious than what can be done at this time. Unless we reach out to the artists and see if they want to do it. But then then we're also putting that on artists who are doing an event to also be thinking about a gallery show that they have to do while they're doing their event. So you're selling not only your prints and stickers and art pieces, but you have to sell an original painting that you probably aren't going to have on the table with you. So, and I am concerned of it. But then again, it's also that same idea of, if we don't do it, how do you know if it's going to work or not? The best time to learn is to just
You're a
jump into it.
hyper analytical guy. I can tell that.
I have a lot of time to think about the things that I like, scenarios that don't ever happen.
Yeah. That's, I get that a lot.
Sounds like ADHD.
Yeah.
Indeed.
All right. Well, anything else? We've gone over a lot of stuff. Like,
It's true, but I know I'm going to have more
Organically.
questions. I always come
Yeah.
up with more questions once they leave, and it's like, oh, wait, I want to know this. And then I get a text that I know, but it's not on the show.
No other questions you had thought about for other people that you wanted to ask them? That
So, yeah, you were married before, right? Just kidding. This is not... That's some stupid shit. We got to cut that out.
We don't have to.
Like trying to add things that aren't real.
No.
it was
That's a reference to another
something
episode
Okay.
that got
out or
cut.
something.
So you're a literal dinosaur, is that correct? Yes, I am a literal dinosaur. I have been called Spooky Dinosaur because
We did cover a lot. I guess, well, I guess here's always a good question. Do you have anything coming up that you want to talk about, that you want to share?
Yeah, that was next. I was
That's
trying
kind
to
of
see if we
cherry
can
on the
expand
top.
it. But yeah, I mean,
We'll come up with new topics while you're answering that one.
yeah. But so, got any events coming up? Got
when's this
anything
coming?
Anything you want people to come to
When is this podcast coming out? That's the question.
within the next
Hopefully
couple
before
days?
BCAF,
Next couple days? Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna get Josh's finished today and out today.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna try and get this one out within the next couple days.
Because I didn't know if it was a weekly, monthly, or whatever podcast.
It should be weekly. Should be.
We'll start getting it.
Yeah.
It should be weekly. We're gonna, if I can get it bi-weekly, we'll be happy with it. But
I mean, you can always bring me back on for another.
Yeah,
because I'm sure that
I want to do a lot of follow-ups. But yeah, I mean, so
Next show I'm going to be doing is going to be at the Boise Comics Art Festival at the Boise Center. And that one's going to be on August 30th. Should be 30th and 31st.
yep.
That's the next show I'm going to be at. I'm hoping to have a few new pieces. I'm working on a sticker for Gengar, and then one of my more popular pieces of a fox. We've been thinking about making it as a sticker or a magnet,
Nice.
and probably both, because one of the places I buy from has a magnet deal.
That's cool.
One of the things we talked about earlier, which you can maybe put this in, but the gatekeeping that you were talking about, there's some artists that have done the gatekeeping for where they buy their products from. And that was one of the issues sometimes with doing community, like being a part of a community, is there are some people, and this isn't a thing I've experienced often, but it's more from people that I'm not personally, I'm not personal with, I don't personally know, is that they'll gatekeep where they buy their stuff from because they're concerned that your purchases will bog down their purchase and that it won't be able to get it in time.
Yeah.
So I've had some people not give me the names of their suppliers so that way they don't miss out. And I'm like, kind of just fucks over the person that you're buying from too, because that just prevents them from making money. So if they're struggling and that you don't know it, then they're not going to be able to survive, and then you lose your person.
Yeah, I'm not putting my Celine Dion record out or anything. I'm not going to stop the printing process.
Well, what it is, it'd be places that people are getting their pins and badges from.
Yep.
They don't like to give the names of those out because then it'll cause the production company to be making more prints and pins and stuff for another person, so they're concerned. So I've been given names of places, which those places are Alchemy Merch is one. I've been told you could probably try. I know there's a couple of them I've looked at.
You got me on Zug Monster.
Zug Monster is a place that I've got some stickers, and they do sales. They're the ones doing magnets right now. Every month they have something different. They usually do stickers, and then they'll do something else. And so that's where I'm going to try my magnets. I've done stickers. I've done places like Vinyl Disorder. I've done Sticky Brand, which I'm not crazy about their stickers, but it's cheap, so it's good.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sticker Blitz is a place I've been told to take a look at. I'm trying them out. They do sticker sheets. I'm looking for a good sticker sheet place. Alchemy Merch was one where I've looked at, and they do other things more than just alchemy, than just like pins. They'll do things, bags, tote bags. They'll do handkerchiefs. You can get some unique items there, and so like Zug Monster does unique stuff, such as the car scent, like
the air freshener.
the air fresheners.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can get air fresheners from them. It's like some of the places you might not realize have really interesting, unique products that you can purchase that you can take to
your
your
art
show.
on, yeah.
And the problem then becomes which of my pieces turn into that sort of product best? Like what can I turn into a
What do I
air
see
freshener?
somebody drinking their coffee out of with my image on it?
Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff I do that doesn't convert over to it as easily, but I need
The Kiss the Cook apron with a
Yeah.
spooky dinosaur on that.
after BCAF, my next show is going to be the Hyde Park Street Fair. My first year doing it, and I'm excited to try that one and hope that it does really well for me. I've heard it's a really good show. A lot of people go through it, and they're always looking to get new artists in there every year. So if you're an artist that's looking to do a show that you've not done yet, give them a try.
Okay.
Look into them. Send a application in when they're announced. Then I'm gonna do that one's in September. It's on the 14th, the weekend of the 14th of September. I think it's the 13th and 14th, which is the same weekend as
Magic
Twin
Valley
Falls. Yeah,
Comic-Con.
yeah, Magic Valley Comic Con. After that one in September, I'm going to be at Art by the River. That one's a fine art festival. I've done it a few years. I'm still trying to decide if I'm fine art like event material or not. I've had people turn their nose at my stuff there.
Philistines.
And I was gonna not do their event this year because I'm sick of the white canopy fine art events at this point. And I've been told from artists, namely Noble Hardesty, to not do those ones. And my spouse really wants to try it again. I'm giving it another try. We'll see what happens. The people there have been great that run the show. The people who attend the show have been the ones who have been the problem.
Gotcha.
And then the events after that, I don't think I've got another one planned until Wicked Winter Market. That one is going to be the 13th of, that one's a one-day event. It's going to be the 13th of December. And it'll be at the Revolution Concert House. We're going to have a bunch of artists there. There'll be a Krampus and then hopefully there will be something more. And my hope is that it's going to be a presentation to help educate people. There's usually presentations at events like Comic-Cons. They'll have presentations or they'll have panels. And I'm hoping to have a panel that's going to touch on the different folklore and traditions and beliefs of a dark horror winter of a wicked winter that people aren't familiar with.
Yeah.
And if it happens again, because I haven't heard yet, but KrampusCon, if it happens the week before, then I'll be there at that one too. It's just not it hasn't been announced, so speculation at this point.
Yeah. Do you have a piece in the 32 cells?
I do have a piece in 32 cells.
All right.
That one is my next one. On the 16th of August, I've got a painting. It's of David Norwood. I love his story. My painting I'm not crazy about, especially because I was really ambitious for it, and I didn't get it to that degree. I had to give up on my ambition and just go with it being a basic wanted poster.
Yeah.
I was going to have a bunch of news articles and posters surrounding my initial wanted poster of David Norwood. And I was doing all of those by hand, and it got tedious and it got time consuming as compared to if I tried to just make them based off of factual news articles that I cut out.
Just get the image on it.
Because I wanted to look like a passage of time had been going since they posted up the wanted poster of David Norwood, because he was never caught. He escaped the Idaho State Penitentiary. He just walked off the grounds one day when he was supposed to be tending to the warden's garden, his flower beds or something it was either garden or flower beds. And then he walked away when no one was paying attention, and they never caught him. So they put a poster out there, wanted an ad for him, a little wanted poster. And I wanted it to look like there had been other posters that had been posted around over the top of it, but they kept that one up to be like, we're still looking for him.
Nice.
And it didn't end up turning out. So I'm at least expressing what I wanted done with it without having it in there. The pieces I did end up making for it is with it, but I hid it behind the painting. So if someone opens up the back part of it, you can find all these little secret pieces of
Nice.
What I was going to do, but ended up not doing.
All right, and that'll be a one-night gallery show at the old Boise Pen on August 16th.
Yep.
So if
6 to 10.
So if you're hearing this before then, come out to the show, look at the pieces, possibly buy a Spooky Dinosaurs piece.
Mm-hmm.
If if it's afterwards, then I'm sorry you missed the show. You'll have to catch him at BCAF.
I mean, if it's afterwards, I'll post up. If it didn't sell, I'll post it up on my socials and people can take a look at
Yeah.
it there. And then reach out to. Tell me, this sucks, or it was all right.
All right.
And
Well,
They should have called it 31 cells now.
Well, it used to be 32 artists for it, and now they let more artists in there.
I'm just
True.
being a jackass.
Well, you're not being a jackass. You are one.
Being one in perpetuity.
Yeah.
all right. Well, where can everyone find you if they're trying to see your stuff or reach out to you?
I've got many social medias. You can usually find me if you just look up the handle, TheSpookyDinosaur. You can find me on Instagram at TheSpookyDinosaur, Facebook, TheSpookyDinosaur. I'm on Blue Sky. I believe it's the same thing. Just Blue Sky, TheSpookyDinosaur. I'm on Twitter as well. That one's for people who are above the age of 18. I believe Blue Sky as well. I don't need underage people because I also am a fan of the not safe for work, and because I like to highlight people who have good artwork, and sometimes that's also where that is. So that one's spooky.dinosaur, I believe.
Okay.
I think that my name is the Spooky Dinosaur, and then I have a Twitch, the Spooky Dinosaur. Anywhere else, if you find me at, and then I have a website, the Spooky Dinosaur.
I was that's the last one you're gonna name, huh? And we'll put links in the description for all
Right.
this. And
I can give you my link tree.
cool, that'll work.
That's the best
That'd
way.
be
Always good to give someone your QR code of a link tree when you're like giving out your artwork, because at this stage, when I used to have everyone write down whichever one they wanted to go to, it's so much easier just to scan that and then click. It takes you right to all the links.
Yep.
It's a bit of advice as an artist is get a link tree or someplace where someone can find all your places in one go. It probably helps. I don't know if it does.
Yeah.
Well, that
Obviously not
helps if you
professional.
want to be seen.
If you don't
some
want to
of
be
us like
seen.
me that are like, don't look at my art.
Well, that's why you don't. That's why you don't have your stuff up for people to see. You don't go to
I don't
shows.
know if you guys saw my ad for the BCAF.
I did.
It's the magazine. They said, hey, take out an ad space. Like, you can put your website. You can say whatever you want. Put a QR code. And I just kind of I blurbed our podcast and put the website for that. You can actually find that.
Yeah.
But I just kind of put new comic series, Kitty Ears by Sam Fortner. And I didn't put anywhere you can find it. It's like, hey, these things exist now. Like, good luck.
Well, luckily they'll be able to find a link for it on the podcast website.
Oh my God. I'm like breaking my own idea of not being able to be found here.
All right. Well, anything else, Sam?
Oh no, we did all those.
Okay. I was saying he's got a kid.
I was like, I
lead,
got it.
so-
I just got
Wait.
it.
Yeah.
I know what I wanted to say. Get the fuck out of here. I'm done with you.
No, that was
Alright.
really good, man. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. It was a blast talking with you.
You're welcome. All right. Stay spooky.
Yeah.
Thanks again to the Spooky Dinosaur for coming out and having a little art chat with us. You can find more from the Spooky Dinosaur at linktree/TheSpookyDinosaur, and we will have a link in the description of this podcast. And if you go to the podcast website at caffeinefueledcreative.com, you can see a small selection of his artwork and click on the link from there as well. The music for the podcast is Escape the Maze by the Lab Brats, used by permission from Adam Wallace. Thank you, Adam. You're the man for letting us use that. You can also find links to more music for the Lab Brats in the description of this podcast and every episode of the podcast. Again, we are Chopsy and Sam. You have been listening to the Caffeine Fueled Creative Podcast. And until next time, go make some art.